welcome back to the Women Who Tech podcast. It's been a summer break, 3 months or even more. I'm happy to welcome you back to the second season of the podcast. Welcome, our guest is Franziska, a freelance UX researcher and UX expert. We got to know each other when working at the same company. Hi, Franzi.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for giving me the time, and also welcome to everyone. Like Lisa said, I'm Franziska, a UX and user research expert working 8+ years in the field of market and user research. And 1.5 years ago, I founded a small UX research agency called The Research.
Nice. That's a big bomb. That's something that we like definitely. I'd like definitely to hear more. What is your ordinary day then looks like as a UX researcher who has the projects to run and the agency?
I usually work on several projects at the same time, and in the morning I usually just get myself a detailed overview of what is on the agenda today, and then I try to have a balance between focus time, like analyzing raw data or writing a research report, and then also I call it active work, so on the product itself, such as testing it myself or having moderated sessions with real users.
Awesome. Sounds like quite a lot of work and balancing between active time and more like maybe having a rest and then jumping to the topic back.
Definitely.
And you said like you're running the agency, and so far I understood that's recent. Can you tell us a bit more what led you to the UX research yourself, but maybe also to the agency?
So this might be quite unusual, but when I was younger, I watched a TV show called Lie to Me, and it's based on Paul Ekman's research on emotions and facial expressions. So I got to learn the whole world of micro expressions and body language, and also the analysis of body language. And I just wanted to explore this field more deeply. So this is why I studied then market and consumer psychology. After that, I just dived right into with my first jobs and never left since then.
Wow, it's so fantastic. And Lie to Me, I remember the show, and maybe now a quick moment for nostalgia for all millennials or people our age who also saw this show.
It was a long time ago, definitely.
But it was a cool show. It got me also thinking, and I wonder about the study itself, how verbal and basically non-verbal communication runs through the body. Do you use it quite often, or how does the knowledge from that period of time and that specific field back you up now?
I was having an internship at a company who is using emotions research. So this was also my first touch with this kind of field, which was really interested, and I really liked it a lot. But nowadays, this is not as often as I would like it to be, because UX especially is not focusing too much on those in-depth qualitative moments as in emotions, for example. So it's definitely a very niche area of research, user research or market research. But I liked it as a start into this field. But nowadays I'm focusing more on UX research and not on emotions research anymore.
The UX research. Gotcha. Yeah, that's basically observing and learning from user experience digitally more than when they interact with the product as a physical product. Is that right? So maybe you can tell like what's the whole UX research is about? Who benefits from UX?
So UX research is mostly like everyone benefits from good UX, I would say. First, the customer first itself or the user, because if they have a smooth journey with a digital product, for example, or a digital experience, they are then more intrigued to come back, visit the website, or use the product more often, or at all. Like if they're having a bad experience at the first time, then they would definitely not coming back. So having this is definitely a benefit for the customer itself, but also for the company behind, because if they are integrating UX and especially UX research from the beginning, it's definitely cheaper and also more efficient than fixing any kind of usability issues after the product's launch. So having this in mind from the start only just help them.
I guess also help them to save their money because it's costly to fix the mistakes afterwards.
Yes, definitely. So they always say, or I hear this a lot, that UX research might be very expensive or that they already know what users want. But even small UX research projects help a lot, and you can have so much impact for future development. So it also does not take up too much time. If they would then argue, well, it takes too much capacity, but that's also not the case. So just start with something small. Just start at all with UX research, and then only everyone can benefit from it, in my opinion.
Absolutely. That sounds quite reasonable. And I'm just wondering if you have came across the companies whose UX maturity is lower or like average, and they are not that sure what's the benefit from the UX research. Maybe would they which UX research activity or practice would you recommend them to start with just to understand what the whole process is like, who can benefit?
Definitely. Like just starting it is already something positive, I would say. So we can, for starters, just assess how their current digital journey works, for example, just having a look at the status quo and then work from there, see what works well, what does not work well, and where we could start first focusing on, and then just digging deeper in a specific area of the journey, and then go on from there.
What's the difference between companies that just getting into the UX research and then still need to establish the processes and people and so on, and the one who is quite highly UX matured? How would you distinguish those, or what is it like to work also with them?
I would say it then rather depends how much they are giving to outside experts, so to say. So if they're having their own team of designers, researchers, it's just like more of a cooperation between all of us, and then handing back and forth insights or prototypes or next steps to do, so to say. And if they're very just in the beginning of exploring UX research and starting it in their company, then it's more of like a support and letting them know how it works, what I can offer them, what impact my projects could have, handing them over insights or recommendations, and then we can slowly start from there and developing something like a structure, for example.
A structure. So that would also help them to convey the process and to see, what can be expected afterwards.
For
Right?
example, or in general, a mindset of when to integrate UX research, when like to always have it in mind, because this could be tricky in the beginning, like always having the user in mind with every decision you make, every thinking you have, discussion you have. So having this mindset then from the beginning can also be a first step into getting this structure or approach to start.
I just wonder if you could mention kind of your top 3 UX research artifacts that people could have and access at any moment to always keep user needs in mind. Like how to represent this information visually and so on for the team to always had that as an argument why we are doing what we are doing.
Okay. So first, I would say having personas in general. Of course, it takes a lot of time to create your personas for a company, but it's definitely worth the time. So having those personas also visually somewhere in the office helps often to always keep those user groups in mind and always seeing them visually when you're working on something, for example. What also is now more and more evolving is using specific AI chats that are backed with those user needs or user groups. So you can then just chat with those personas and then you can just talk to them and get some more ideas or understanding of things you're working on right now. So those are just 2 examples of how you can easily integrate, in this case, personas in your everyday work. But just in general, having them always present in presentations or in the office in general, it's just, preventing you from forgetting about them, having the users always on mind.
I love that this approach is so modern and up to date, and it's all about benefiting the current AI tech. And I want to go a bit more with the AI since you mentioned that the biggest trend of the last years. So recently, I've been attending some meetups within the Hatch conference and also the conference online. And I've been quite stunned of how many times AI as a concept and term popped up. It's basically in every presentation there and every talk from every speaker's mouth. And the one meetup was super cool. It was how to use AI in research and in discovery phase. And quite a lot of people showed up at the Grammarly office. And some of them just heard that it's possible to integrate AI into their routine. And some of them were making the first steps. I know that you also kind of work and integrate AI in your work. Can you share a bit more when and how many times AI actually lied to you?
So it definitely helps integrating AI in UX research tasks just to get another angle, for example, another perspective of your own thoughts, endings, etc. But right now, I would always say as well that you should not only rely on it, just keep it in mind that it's still not perfect to use right away as of it now. So your expertise as a UX researcher is right now more important than using AI so lately. So only use it additionally, only use it as a second pair of eyes, so to say, someone to have a discussion about some things, and always have a look at the recommendations that AI gives you with a critical eye.
May I ask you also about the specific parts of the work that can be done or that you have done together with AI, meaning just benefiting from another angle, such as they very much spoken about is to classify and categorize user insights with AI. It can be also be the certain tools that the researchers and designers use, and then now how AI-driven functionality, or in any other way. Have you done so? Did you like it?
So you can definitely use it after having your own analysis done, after reviewing your data yourself and writing down all the insights you would say are most important. You can run it with AI as well, just to see if there are other angles that AI might have find. So then you can always think again, well, okay, was this something important as well? Should you include it or not? Just to think twice about what you analyzed before, and just taking it as recommendations, just like from another peer, and then integrate it or not, whatever your expertise or whatever your thoughts on it are then.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's always helps to have a critical eye. Another part of using AI heavily in UX research that I heard of is to do the desk research with any LLM that is running now that is also safe and treats your data respectfully. Do you do that, or do you also prefer just go into the web and you know your research sources to do the desk research, the competitor analysis, and so on?
I would say this is something I rather do on my own, because especially when it's about a digital product or a website that I want to have an analysis done for a client, I would like to definitely have a look at it myself. So searching on the website myself, having a look at the product, going through the digital journey myself, just to get an idea and an overview of what it's about and what to focus on. So I think this is something, sure, AI can support there and might give you another angle to look at, or something that you might have forgotten or overlooked. But working on a product yourself is definitely something that is important to then also deliver even more impactful insights that the client can really use for future projects or work.
Nice idea. So on this note, with the AI, I guess I'd like to mention the little survey that I've been running for designers to learn about the way how they incorporate and use AI tools and how that influenced the design workflow. Thank you so much for everybody who participated. It was 19 people and one quite extended interview as a continuation of our conversation. People mentioned that the top AI tool that they use were AI LLMs, so such things as ChatGPT, Perplexity, and so on, to get things started whenever they are in any phase of a double diamond or product process. So for discovery or for ideating, they just go there to get inspired, to get a bit boosted with the task they having. I find it interesting that people use it mostly just as a companion who knows more theory and can give you a good start, and that's it. How do you friends relate to that?
Sure, definitely. Again, this works then just like talking to someone else about the project and how to start it, and just to get the thoughts running, so to say. It helps to get your mind working on it and discuss what angles there might be, what things to look at, to focus on. This definitely makes sense, especially for a designer when working on a specific product or project.
Of course. Then for everybody listening, I'm also intend to share the survey results and the tendencies that I spotted with it a bit later on for our community and on LinkedIn. Just to give you a cool teaser is that Lovable and other AI prototyping tools were also on the list, and some percent of us designers use that as the beginning of new era, I guess. So it's quite interesting. Okay, we already mentioned the designers, and I guess we also collaborate with designers whenever it has the opportunity to do so. Can you tell us a bit more what are the common stakeholders and are designers among them?
Yes, there are designers among them. So often a designer just requests an analysis of a new prototype they want to test or want to get feedback on. But also on the other side, it might be the product team itself or the head of product, for example, that just want to do some more research on specific parts of their product, of their website, whatsoever. So it really depends and can be different from project to project, but also it's the nice thing about working as a freelancer and having different products, different projects, different clients at the same time.
Just to clarify, and that would be super insightful for another UX researchers and people who is looking into freelancing as the whole totally new way of working. Would you be also working with the other UX researchers from on site from the company, product owners, head of product design, head of product, and those kind of people?
Yes, sure. So this would then be more of a collaboration, I would say. And I really like that because everyone has their expertise to bring in, their knowledge, and also different thoughts on how to approach it. So it's more like a working together than working for someone in this case, which is also very nice for me. Or then I'm also more into contact with other researchers and can just support them. Or it might be the case that I'm doing the German market for them if the company is from another country, for example. So it's more than like supporting them and not taking over the whole project myself.
Okay, of course, supporting them. We had another episode on this show with the freelance designer, Kami, and she expressed that although as a freelancer you support the team, there is also a clear way of reporting of the achievements you got and also the knowledge that you gained through either regular check-ins and also talking about with the leader of the team. Does that also happen in your case?
Yes. So it can, of course, be different from client to client. And I'm always trying to adapt to whatever the client needs because they have to work in the end with the insights that we are collecting from the project. So I would like to make it as easy as possible for them. So whatever they need, whether this might be regular check-ins to see how it's going, or also giving them the time and possibility to give feedback on discussion guides or survey drafts, whatever. So whatever they need, some are very like, well, here's what we need, and we will see each other again in, I don't know, 4 to 8 weeks after everything's done. So there are clients like that, but there are also clients who like to work really hand in hand with me, which both is fine. And whatever the client needs is fine for me.
Do you also clarify the work mode of the frequent check-ins and so on in the beginning of the project? Or
yes, so in the beginning we usually agree on a predefined package or approach we are doing. So it says then exactly what they will get in the end, how we are approaching the project, and also the deliverables in general. And then in this package, we would also define how many check-ins we have, what they need as well for me, things like that, the timeline, etc.
the deliverables, time check-in, and also overall the goal of the project.
Yes, exactly. What they can expect to get in the end.
Okay, awesome. So you mentioned that there can be all sort of people, and also it depends on the client and the client needs and work approach in general. How would you, as a UX researcher, secure that the expectations are managed and the stakeholders have been heard and their input is being taken and everybody is on the same page?
So being open and honest and transparent from the beginning is, I think, the most important thing. Just to, whether it be being transparent about the timeline that might not be fulfilled, why, for whatever reason, or that something might have changed. I don't know, just being transparent from the beginning is very important to keep everyone in the loop, to let everyone know what to expect and when. And then also writing everything down that is part of the project and also what is not part of the project. So whenever something comes up or wants to be added as well, then we can say, well, this is possible, but then this might affect the timeline or the deliverables in general, so that just everyone knows and have something to rely on. And then we can still adjust it on the go. But having something that everyone can relate to and get an overview of what are the expectations is something important, I think.
Yeah, I can relate just with all my heart and experience, because changes might happen, and it's also up to us how we manage and how we incorporate. What you're saying goes hand in hand with the whole freelancing work approach. I'd like to get a bit deeper with that. I've been kind of walking around the freelance projects, and what is the most difficult part, or at least I haven't cracked it yet, is the estimation. How would you approach the project request?
So I think, yeah, this is something that takes just experience, I would say, and a lot of learning by doing. So because I'm working in this area for 8+ years, I know exactly how much it takes me to do any kind of task in user research. And this helps me then with estimating a specific project, because I can then say, okay, I would need X amount of hours for this task, and then for the second task, this amount of hours. And also having specific challenges then in mind that might occur during the project or when it comes to specific industries. But this, unfortunately, I think it just takes time. And also, like I said, learning by doing, because it's in the beginning, I would assume it's really hard estimating it. But you estimate it once and then you can learn from it, and then you estimate it again for the next project. And so you then, after some time, know also in your specific case, how much time do you need and what might occur or what specific challenges you might have.
The experience of 8 and more years really give you the perspective of the how much time and resources this specific task would take. Let's say that if the client has already a fixed deadline and or at least a work scope and also time for that work scope. Let's say maybe there is specific task to do within 1 or 3 months, and how would you make sure that that's realistic and doable timeline for yourself?
So it depends. If you have only a specific time frame from the client side, then you have to clearly be transparent from the beginning what is doable in this time frame and what is not. Because otherwise, if you cannot hit the timeline in the end, then no one's happy. So just being transparent, like I said some minutes ago, is very important. Other than that, again, having those deliverables clearly written down, and also from my side, but also from the client side, is important to then say, okay, if I cannot get your feedback, for example, that we agreed on getting to me until this and this date, then I cannot work any further. So the timeline might change and we might miss the time frame that we thought of. So having those clear dates and time frames written down definitely helps everyone and both sides to just let everyone know what's expected from them.
And if the change request would appear, do you also now know the way how to communicate it with the client and how that would impact those specific dates?
Yes. Again, here being transparent is also important there, because something might change also from the client side or also from my side. So something might just happen that needs you to adjust the project plan or the timeline, whatever. But from my experience, I cannot just say that the client is always open to just talk through it, discuss it, and then see what's still doable and what can be done. So this shouldn't be something to pause the project or stop it immediately. So there's always something to work around or to still finish the project.
Have you come across a client with more rigid mindset, meaning that maybe there is a specific work scope that is, in your opinion, not that doable, not that realistic to perform within this time frame, and you know this from the beginning?
This might happen, but I'm just being transparent what is doable and what's not. Because again, if we agree on something that is not doable, then the client might not be happy in the end because they cannot get what they expect to get. I would say I also function there as a consultant in the UX research area, because I can consult the client what makes most sense when it comes to the approach, the timeline, etc. And also what does not make sense or what I would not advise to do. With that, I would then say I'm a consultant in UX research and also then the expert of conducting the research myself.
Okay. I just can imagine that finding projects might be not easy, and I wonder what's the components of the success for that. What's to do to find right clients, projects that sound curious, and of course also well paid.
I mean, I just try to be present on LinkedIn, for example, or having a website that everyone can have a look at to see what I've worked on, what my expertise is, what my knowledge is, and then also approaching directly companies, for example, or other teams that might be a good fit to work together. But it's not always the easiest to do as a freelancer, getting new projects. So this is something definitely to have in mind when thinking about starting as a freelancer as well. So you definitely need to start low with your expectations, because you might need some time to get your connections, to get your clients you then regularly work with, to get feedback from others that suggest also to work with you. So give yourself time, because in the end, it definitely is worth it. But again, it just needs time. So there are specific freelance platforms that offer freelance jobs, but there are not so many in UX research, I would say. But any other platforms that offer open job positions are mostly focusing on full-time positions. So you really have to take the time to dig through all the open job positions and then see what might be a fit for freelance positions or contract work, whatever. Because from what I see, most job platforms offer mostly full-time positions.
I see. You said that in the beginning it might be tough for freelancers, beginners, but ever since happening, it's worth doing so. It just takes time. In your opinion, how much time would need one to build a nice, proper portfolio, network, and work approach to get into those more juicy projects?
I think this is hard to say because it also depends on the environment we are currently in. So right now the job market is very tough, I would say. So this might then take longer to build your network, to get the connections you need. So if you are in the position to be able to start part-time freelancing, so besides your employment, this might be a good way of starting on the side, starting your network, your connections, and then even having a look at if this might fit the work style you are looking for. So trying it out just on the side might be a good way to start this, and even, just seeing if it's what you expected it to be.
Yeah, I can imagine still it might take some time. And you said like with building the network, would the conferences, attending the conferences help as an additional activity to being proactive and frequent and visible on LinkedIn?
It depends on what you want to focus on. So if you are attending conferences with other UX researchers, like in my case, for example, it helps you just to have open discussions on current methods that might be new or challenging, just to be in contact with other researchers as well, which is also nice, especially if you don't have like colleagues like when being employed. But also attending conferences with possible clients might be also an interesting idea, because you then really get in touch with companies that might be open to work with you. So there are different ways of getting to know different kinds of people depending on what you want to focus on.
Okay, right. Definitely two kinds of conferences. Yeah, also with the clients, that may be, I guess, the all kind of fairs, all kind of conferences where they present their own products. So just something to look into. And another idea crossed my mind is that as UX people, we can also refer and recommend each other to certain clients. So UX researchers can do this for designers and vice versa.
Yeah, I sometimes work with other freelance UX designers that then offer my expertise in UX research to the client as well as a combined package, so to say. But this is not always the case, as often the client has their own designers that I'm then working with. So it just depends, but it definitely can happen. So having those networks as well is also helpful, I would say.
It's a good news for everybody who is tiptoeing freelancing. I think I want to also touch upon the topic which everybody is curious about, but not everybody is ready to talk to. It's like about money question. Meaning, as a freelancer, how to take care of your taxes and your calculation and so on. How does it work for you? Do you have a specific person? Do you plan ahead, if possible, what's going to be happening with your financial management for the next 6 months, let's say?
So it's definitely more challenging. You cannot plan as much as being an employed UX researcher, I would say. So you just have to get more relaxed, just trusting in yourself that new projects will come in. And then also just every month is different. Also, every year is different. So you need to be open and trusting in yourself that you will find more projects, new clients, and just be open for any opportunity that might come around. But I would definitely advise to also get a tax advisor to talk through your specific situation, just to not oversee something that might be important for you when it comes to taxes or anything related to that. Because every situation is also different, I would say. So you might have other regulations or things to keep in mind than depending on the work style you have, the clients you have. So definitely just talk through with a tax advisor to get more tips on what to do and how to handle your situation, I would say.
Yeah, that's just like a must-have for every professional and freelancers, especially in Germany, to have a good tax advisors. Number one priority. So that's why for everybody who knows a good tax advisor, or if you are expert in this field yourself, just comment next to this video or audio episode. It depends on where you listen to. That would be a great exposure, I believe. Anything else that you also like to mention for beginners?
Just try it out. That's my advice. Especially if you can, like I mentioned before, try it out on the side as a part-time freelancer. This just helps you to get a sense of what it might look like for you, how it could start, how it could success also. And then just working on from there and starting your network. It's never too late to start that. And then just see for yourself how it fits you. And even if it's just for a while, and then you can still decide to go back to being employed.
Absolutely. Building the network and maintaining it is it's actually always the task that we have as a professionals. Either you're a freelancer or not. I heard that in freelancing, there is quite a lot of flexibility and freedom to structure your day, your work activity in a way that is the most suitable. Is that true? So, how flexible freelancing can get?
Yes, I can be very flexible, at least more flexible than being employed, I would say. Of course, I have meetings I need to attend or deadlines I have to keep in mind, but around that, I'm pretty much my own person and I can decide for myself when to work and how to work, which makes it easier because I would say if you're a morning person, for example, you can do all your work in the morning and then take a longer break in the afternoon, for example. But it also works the other way around. And being employed, you don't have that freedom to decide when or how to work. So I definitely like this way of being a freelancer and having this freedom and flexibility.
Yeah, that sounds nice. Just to have a bit more freedom for everybody, morning and evening people. I think we're heading towards wrapping up. And I want to ask you, what UX and UX research means for you. The biggest meaning, something that you relate deeply and you believe that becomes a value, a real value for other people.
When products are developed on real user feedback, it gives the users the possibility to just use good products. And with that, they would then use those products more often or at all. And this makes their life definitely better rather than making it harder. So a product should always be user-centered, I would say. And this is what UX research is about, because you can center the user and focus on them.
Because that's real people who use your product. So we always have to keep real people, not only personas in mind.
If you're interested in UX research, just give it a go. Do an internship, for example, to have a look inside the industry and the area and the field. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me directly, whether on LinkedIn or through my website, and I'm happy to help and give advice.
Oh, that's so great. It's so generous of you. We're gonna include the mentioned links below the video in the episode description so everybody can reach out. I guess if you have a small question or just give a praise to Francie, that definitely is also a good occasion to reach out and let us know what you think about this episode. how you like the episode, the topic, and how much you are overwhelmed with AI as a term that pops up like everywhere on YouTube, conferences, and so on. Francie, do you also have such an experience?
Yeah, you can definitely hear and read about AI everywhere in all types of situations and all kinds of ways, I would say. So let's see where this journey also continues to go to. I'm excited and interested in seeing where it goes to.
Nice, the whole community is, I guess. That was the Women Who Tech podcast. I'm your host, Lisa, our precious guest, Franzi, and we've been talking about UX research. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening.